If a couple earns $1 million a year, they should be secure, right? If one partner brings in $700,000 and the other earns $300,000, that should eliminate financial stress, right? If money solves relationship pressure, then high-income marriages should be the most stable. But what if income isn't the real variable? What if the structure underneath the income is the problem? We audited 10 high-income couples earning up to $1 million per year. 8 of them were structurally fragile, not because they were broke, because they were misaligned. In this breakdown, I'm going to show you why $1 million a year still wasn't enough for most of these couples, how time scarcity, career sequencing, and structural pressure created tension money couldn't solve, and what they should have done differently. If you think more income automatically fixes relationship problems, this will challenge that assumption. The 700K, 300K couple. One couple stood out. He earned roughly $700,000 a year. She earned $300,000. Combined income, $1 million. On paper, they were thriving. High-rise apartment, 2 luxury vehicles, aggressive investment contributions, international travel twice a year. But their real deficit wasn't money. It was time. Both worked demanding careers. His schedule was relentless. Hers was climbing fast. She wanted 2 more years before having a child, not because she didn't want one, but because she was building professional momentum that would be difficult to regain after maternity leave. He felt ready now. Financially, they could afford it. From his perspective, waiting made no sense. But structurally, this wasn't about readiness. It was about sequencing. He viewed income as the primary readiness indicator. She viewed career trajectory and time autonomy as equally important. The tension wasn't emotional, it was structural misalignment. Money amplified the conflict rather than resolving it. Their lifestyle required 2 high-output careers. Their careers required intense time commitment. Adding a child without restructuring time allocation would increase pressure exponentially. Eventually, the disagreement wasn't about children. It was about whose timeline defined the structure. They divorced, not because $1 million wasn't enough, because their architecture couldn't support both ambition and family without redesign. Now, I want to show you why this pattern repeated across the other audits, and why high income often hides fragility instead of eliminating it. Across the 10 couples, we measured 5 structural metrics: fixed cost ratio relative to net income, independent survival capacity for each partner, time autonomy, hours worked per week, career sequencing alignment, and margin months if one income stopped. 8 couples failed at least 3 of these 5 metrics. The common pattern? High income, low time margin. Their financial model required constant output. The higher the income, the more demanding the role. The more demanding the role, the less relational bandwidth. In the 700K, 300K case, both partners were maximizing earning potential simultaneously. There was no staggered growth plan, no intentional sequencing of career acceleration, no margin in time allocation. High-income households often operate like high-performance businesses. Efficiency is optimized, output is maximized, but redundancy is low. If both partners are in peak career mode at the same time, something else gets compressed, usually time together, emotional availability, and flexibility around major life decisions. Income didn't create freedom, it created dependence on sustained intensity. Another recurring issue was identity attachment to earnings. The higher earner often subconsciously equated financial provision with readiness for life decisions. The lower earner, even at $300,000, still faced career vulnerability during childbearing years. The opportunity cost wasn't symmetrical. That asymmetry builds silent pressure. Money can fund childcare. It cannot restore lost professional momentum at the same pace. Across the audits, couples assumed financial readiness automatically meant relational readiness. It doesn't. Structural alignment matters more than income size. So how could they have handled it differently? If $1 million a year isn't enough to guarantee stability, what is? First, they needed career sequencing, not simultaneous acceleration. Instead of both maximizing at the same time, they could have designed a phased structure, 2 years of her peak growth while he maintains steady output, then a recalibration period where his role becomes more flexible during early parenting. Income may fluctuate slightly, but time balance improves. Second, they needed time margin, not just financial margin. We focus heavily on emergency funds and net worth. Few couples measure available hours per week. If both partners are operating at 90-hour performance capacity, adding a child isn't an addition, it's a structural overload. Third, they needed an independent survival analysis. Could either partner maintain dignity and stability alone, not because divorce is planned, but because autonomy reduces pressure in negotiations? When both individuals are structurally capable independently, decisions feel chosen rather than forced. Fourth, they needed timeline negotiation before emotional escalation. The conversation shouldn't be, "Are you ready now?" It should be, "What sequence preserves both of our long-term positioning? What structural changes are required before adding responsibility? What does our life look like on reduced time capacity?" High-income couples often skip this layer because money creates overconfidence. Finally, they needed to redefine what enough means. If income grows but time disappears, the system becomes imbalanced. True readiness includes financial margin, time flexibility, aligned timelines, and role clarity. We audited 10 high-income couples. 8 were fragile, not because they lacked money, but because they lacked structural alignment. The 700K, 300K couple didn't fail financially, they failed architecturally. Income couldn't compensate for time scarcity and misaligned sequencing. That's the lesson. If this breakdown made you rethink how money actually interacts with relationships, share this video with someone who assumes high income guarantees stability. Subscribe to the channel for more structural conversations about money and partnership, not just emotional cliches, but real frameworks. And next, watch our related video. Money is killing 90% of relationships. It expands on how financial design, not just feelings, is quietly driving tension in modern couples, especially dual-income households. If you earn $1 million a year but have no time, no sequencing plan, and no structural margin, you don't have security. You have output, and output without architecture eventually collapses under its own weight.